Well, after 10 beautiful, uneventful months, I dropped my bike. But it wasn't all my fault. If you saw my last video, this is a fairly fitting follow-up. This is my first drop, or my first incident of any kind really on the bike that resulted in anything. Let me start off by saying that I am 100% fine. I did not have a scrape, bruise, nothing on me. I was good. The bike is okay. She needs a little bit of TLC, but nothing major. It really was best case scenario for this situation. However, because I was just out for a little joyride and enjoying my day, I wasn't recording. Always record on your motorcycle. Lessons learned. It was a pretty good day. I'd spent probably about an hour out on the bike, having a good time. I was 2 blocks from my house, so as the saying goes, happens close to home. So I was getting in the turning lane to turn right onto my road, and it is a long ass turning lane, and there was a long ass line of traffic at the red light. The light had been red for a while, traffic was completely stopped. Because I had to move by all of these cars, I did go ahead and slow down and move a little bit closer to the center so that they would have a better chance of seeing me. So as I was going, I saw it. Ford Ranger that had been sitting there for a good minute, all of a sudden turned his blinker on. I, of course, had a mini panic attack. He inched forward a little, stopped. I saw him through the back window, look in his rearview mirror, and he stayed put. And I was like, cool, all right, he saw me. Good move, bruh. And then, as I got pretty close to his tailgate, he changed his mind and decided to just sit right on out into the entire turning lane. Fortunately, he stopped at an angle, so I was able to kind of swerve to the right and by some miracle avoid both his passenger side door and the curb. So it was all good. I had stopped, didn't hit anything. However, the bike was a little off-centered from the swerve, and then I stalled. As the bike lurched forward with the stall, it kicked more to the right and got really, really heavy. I tried my best to keep this bike off the ground, but after about 3 excruciating seconds, I had to give up. There was no way I was keeping it up. Giggity. As the bike went down, it kind of swept my right foot out from underneath me, but that is the only reason I even kind of tumbled to the ground at all. I was able to pick myself up immediately, shouting an expletive into my helmet, as I looked up and saw that Ford Ranger drive away. And I do consider myself kind of lucky. If he had gone any later, I probably would not have had time to stop, or he would have just sideswiped me. If he had gone any earlier, he probably could have gotten straight enough that I would not have been able to go to the side of him, and I would have wound up in the bed of the truck. So again, best case scenario for the situation. It of course did feel a little bit embarrassing. Of course, at first I was just frustrated. And then it was a little embarrassing for this to happen at like the busiest time of day. There was so much traffic, but I will say there were like 7 people that stopped and helped me and were very kind to me. One lady was super nice and was the one who helped me lift my bike up. She basically did it by herself. That lady was amazing, so very thankful she was there. There was a gentleman in the car behind me as well that saw what happened and immediately got out, made sure I was okay, asked if I'd gotten the tag number, which of course hadn't because I wasn't recording. And he kind of hung around and made sure that I was able to be seen in the turning lane and traffic wasn't getting behind me or coming up behind me to hit me, and just to make sure I was good. So that was really nice as well. I will say, although it was great to have all these people stop and get out of their cars, none of the 3 motorcycles who passed me even gave me a second look, which I will say, I was up at the time, the bike was up, so fair enough, but I was still on the side of the road, all my gear off, on the sidewalk, pacing around with people around me. You know, I just feel like we could have been a little better in that situation. I was also really glad that I avoided the curb, although I got just close enough that when the bike was down, I wasn't able to even like wedge my boot in between the bike and the curb to even try to lift the bike by myself backwards. Just wasn't gonna happen. But like I said, the kindness of strangers. Also, quick tip, whenever something like this happens or you've stalled and you can't figure out why the bike still isn't turning on, maybe check to make sure it's in the proper gear, because I forgot that when I went down, I was likely in second gear, second or third gear. I was only going about 15, so I was probably in second gear. And I, of course, waited for a few minutes to make sure that the tip sensor on the bike was going to be reset. But then I wasted another good 5 minutes wondering why the bike wouldn't start before it suddenly hit me, like, you're not in neutral and you're not holding the clutch in. So if it were in gear, if it were in first, it's still not going to start. So check that. Once I put the bike in neutral and tried to start it, she fired right up. And I was just really thankful to be able to ride home with really minimal damage. Once the bike was up, I saw that the right side mirror had been snapped off. It was a nice clean snap off, so it was a cheap, easy fix, quick fix, nothing major. I have some really small scratching on the fairing, and my brake lever was bent into the plastic just a little bit, but it was pretty easy to pull right back out, and it's fine now. I was extremely sore from the very few seconds I tried to hold the bike up. I definitely pulled some muscles and realized that it just wasn't worth it, and I'm glad I didn't try to hold on to it longer because I felt great for a day. A day or two later, whew, but I will take pulled muscles and sore muscles for a few days because it could have been so much worse. So again, very lucky that the bike and I were fairly okay. Also glad I didn't cry because I cry over literally everything. And the guy in the Ranger did eventually come back 5 to 10 minutes later. I'm kind of curious if he came back because he thought I might have had a camera, and on second thought, he was like, maybe I should go talk to her. It was kind of nice, I guess, but it was kind of frustrating because he was super reluctant to even approach me. He just kind of floated over there until I came up to him. Everyone else was already kind of gone at this point. And he was reluctant to even say anything to me or to admit anything. He was just kind of like, so I think I'm the one who, yeah, bud, yeah. Which it's probably best he waited to approach me because by the time he got over there, I think the relief had already taken away any anger and frustration I had. I was okay, the bike was okay, so I was glad that I was probably just going to be able to ride right home. But that was pretty much the extent of our interaction. That's all he really said to me, except for the most frustrating thing he said to me, which was, oh yeah, I used to ride. So you know, dude, you know what you just did. You know how scary that was. And mistakes happen, but like, take responsibility and maybe apologize for it. Again, really bummed that it happened, but very, very lucky and very glad that it wasn't any worse. As I record this, the mirrors have already been replaced and my frame sliders just came in the mail, so they will be going on the bike hopefully by this weekend at the latest. Another hot tip, maybe don't be like me. Protect the bike before shit happens, not after. I'm already pretty safety oriented, but this was a good example of how things can happen very quickly. It happened right by my house, and while I was very lucky, it could have been much worse. I didn't have any time to think like as it was happening, obviously. So kind of planning those things out ahead of time, preparing and thinking about those situations, and also knowing that I was in that turning lane with that long line, and I was in a situation where it's a common thing to happen and it could likely happen right then. That's all I really had going for me, and thankfully in this situation it helped because I might not have slowed down if I didn't think about it. I might not have been a little prepared for it. Again, I'm very lucky because it still could have gone so much worse. So again, I just kind of wanted to share that, even though it really turned out to not be a big deal and I'm fine, bike's fine. I immediately hopped right back on and got back to riding. It didn't even really scare me that much. I am obviously being even more cautious in certain situations, but as far as not getting back on the bike wasn't even a thought. I was praying so hard that that bike would just start and I could go, and it was great. If you're still with me, thank you. I appreciate you. If you want to help a girl out, please subscribe to my channel, like my video, follow me on Instagram. If you're on Tunnit, follow me on Tunnit. And if you will, go ahead and tell me down below if you've ever had a similar situation or if you've ever had to rely on the kindness of strangers while you were out on your bike and something silly happened. Thank you guys, and I will see you later. Bye.